So I would say once, twice, 84 times a year, you might be asking yourself, do I need a new driver? I want to hit it further, I want to hit it straighter. Today's video is all about how you can use your current driver, not buy anything new, and yet still get more distance out of it. So what are the power sources within your swing that you can unlock? Well, the first thing we need to understand is how we actually turn and move our body makes a massive difference. You can break the body up two segments, top and bottom. So during the backswing, we want the upper body to be rotating away from the target until the middle of the back points down towards where you want the ball to go. During the downswing, we want the lower half of the body and the hips to be rotating towards the target just as hard. But very often it's a lack of the backswing turn that actually causes the most problems. What I mean by that is if you have restriction in the backswing, let's say you don't turn those shoulders fully, you will start to rush with the upper body down at the ball, often swinging steep and to the left-hand side. You don't hit the ball with the backswing, it can be in a lot of different positions, but that key fundamental, getting a full body turn is absolutely crucial if you want to hit the ball a decent distance. If you do struggle with getting that body turn, what I would recommend is trying to lift the lead heel, the left heel, or rotate the right hip a little bit more. Those two things will take so much restriction off the amount of turn that you can get, especially lifting that lead heel. Left heel if you're a right-hander, right if you're a left-hander. In that backswing, just let that lead heel lift and it will give you more rotation. Oh, zoom in on that. Zoom in on that. Get down the slope. Go on. That's pounded. That's pounded. I'm surprised that ball's not dust. If you want to test your flexibility and how much you can rotate, try this exercise. Keep your knees and your hips locked and then try and turn the body as much as you can. I can get to about here, so I would say a third of my potential rotation. If I let the left heel lift off the ground, all of a sudden, I can turn a lot more. If I allow that right hip to rotate, all of a sudden, I can turn to 120 degrees if I wanted to. Now, I've already spoken about the turns of the upper and the lower body and why they're so important, but there's also something else you can do on the downswing, and that is use ground force. Now, you always draw power up from the ground. There's literally no shot where that doesn't happen. But with the driver from the top of the swing, if you can feel like you are pushing into the surface of the earth, you're pushing down from the top of the swing. What that allows you to do is push down and then draw back up all that power. You'll see many of the best players in the world have this look to their swing when they have a little bit of a dip, that knee flex at the start of the downswing where they're pushing into the surface, and then that left leg, that left hip straightening to pull all that power out of the ground. Now within my own swing, this has added distance to my drives, there's no doubt about it. It's something which I recommend. It's more of a complex skill, but definitely one worth trying. Across the driver face, there will be different effects depending on where you hit the ball. Now, this is because of something called gear effect. And I'm going to leave a video here that you can watch that explains all about gear effect, but this is the basic understanding of what you need to know. Strike the ball from around the top of the club, the ball is going to launch high, it's going to spin a little bit less, but the transfer of energy won't be that high. Strike the ball along the bottom of the club, it's going to launch it a little bit lower, then spin a little bit more. To get the most out of your driver, you need to be hitting it near the sweet spot, which is generally located around the center of the club face. Now I hear you cry, of course we want to be hitting the driver in the center of the club face, but how can we do it? So this is a great drill that you can use. I've got two tees. I put one just outside the toe and another at the same angle as the shaft, just to the inside of the heel. Now the idea of this is to get the driver passing through this gate, and that's going to cause a center strike. Put a bit of pressure on myself here. This gate is very close. You can start with it slightly wider if you want, and also for extra feedback, use some face tape, use some athlete's foot spray. That's really good for showing up impacts on the driver as well. I'd be using GC Quad, but I know I'm a very lucky boy. Can we get through this gate? Oh, that's pretty good, but they've both fallen over. So hitting up on the ball is another way to increase distance. Let me explain very briefly and in a simplified manner about spin loft. I spend a lot of time on the ground on this video. So spin loft is the angle between dynamic loft. Dynamic loft is how much this club face is pointing up at the sky at impact, and the angle of attack. So the angle of attack can either be down or it can be up. It can also be level. The higher the spin loft, the higher the overall amount of spin. Now this could be robbing you of distance. So to optimize this, let's say the dynamic loft again was 15 degrees, but at impact, rather than hitting 5 degrees down, we actually hit 5 degrees up. Now this will give you a spin loft of 10 degrees, which would equate to a high launching but low spinning bomb. PGA Tour average with the driver spin loft is 14.7 degrees according to TrackMan, just in case you want to know. So those are some of the fundamentals of impact and spin loft, but how can we get you hitting up on the ball a little bit more? So a nice way to think about this, if you imagine there's a circle, well, I'll draw you a circle around my body. Now this represents swing arc. So this is the imaginary path that the club is going to take throughout its journey. Obviously it's a little bit more complex than this, but stay with me. When I'm directly facing the ball, the bottom of the circle, the bottom of the swing arc is where impact would be. But we want to try and make sure that this arc is moving upwards through impact. So to try and accomplish that, if we just let that left foot fan out, we take a big step with the right foot, all of a sudden the center of my circle has shifted behind the ball. Because the ball position is further forward in the stance, if I can turn back and turn through, maintaining my sternum position behind the ball, my angle of attack and my arc through impact should be traveling upwards. So if you've got that set up, we've got behind the ball, if you try and keep that swing nice and wide coming through impact as well, that should help you shallow that club out a little bit more and hit up. Now most modern drivers have an adaptable shaft sleeve, so you can actually maneuver and change the lofts to affect what your spin loft will be. Remember, lower lofts don't automatically mean more distance. And this is where getting a custom fit becomes really important. The last thing I want to talk about, but I'm not going to go into too deeply, get down into those comments and wallop that like button if you want me to do a video on this, is the ball that you're using. The ball has a massive impact on distance, it's as simple as that. To put it bluntly, the harder the ball, the further it should go, the softer the ball, the shorter it should go. That's about it. So everybody get your pinnacle golds out. If you want me to do a full video on different balls and the type that you should be looking for, let me know. Also, if you want more help with your driving, check out these videos here. They're going to help you hit it straighter, further and longer.